Hey guys, today I have a special video. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial showing how I edit my videos to upload to YouTube using Sony Vegas Pro. This is the editing software I have. Well, I have a few on my computer, but this is the one I prefer to use the most. It's easiest to work with, you have the most options, and it has the best preview of what your work is going to look like when it's done. So I have a list here on my phone, just some points I want to cover. Anyway, so what the point of this video is, it's sort of to help branch out my channel, offer more content to people. I don't want things to get stale with just gameplay, so I'm trying to offer something where I can also help people and not just sort of entertain, I guess. But yeah, so this will be a bit of a long video, so I only recommend watching this video if you are actually interested in using this software. So we'll get right to it. So Sony Vegas Pro, obviously it's editing software, professional editing software made by Sony. There are different versions. They go up to 14, I believe, is out right now. So this is the second newest version. So first thing I want to cover is the overview of the workspace. So when you open the software up, it may look like this, it may not look exactly like this, but this is a general layout of how it looks. So this right here is your preview pane, preview window. Basically shows you what the video looks like at that current time. So down here is where you actually upload your media to edit and work with. So I'm just going to do that right now. I actually wanted to do this as I was recording a video, like an actual video, just so I could make it as realistic as possible. So this is a level that I just recorded a couple days ago. So I upload by, like you saw right here, going under File, Import, and then I've never used any of these. These are different kinds of files. I always go with media. So if you want to upload a song, any kind of MP3 file, voice recording, any kind of media file, you gotta go through here, through media. So I did that. Alternatively, you can also go to your desktop. So if you go to your desktop and click and drag on a file, I mean, I won't show it now, but if you click and drag on a file, I could drag this from my desktop and I would drag it onto here. So I would, from my desktop, I would bring it into the program and drag it onto here. So I believe once you have it here, you can just click and drag. Yeah. So you can click and drag to your working space. So I'll cover a little bit about how the working space works. So there are two main types of files. So if I click right here, and I'm right clicking, so I can either open and type media file, or I can insert audio track and video track. So these are pretty much the two main things that you're going to be working with. So the video track is this, and it says track number. It has a little, I guess, I don't know what you call that. It's a picture of like a movie image right there. And then the audio tracks have this microphone. So that's how you can tell the difference between them. And you can add as many or delete as many as you want. I don't know if there's a limit, but if I insert audio track, right, I can add a lot of audio tracks, and I don't know what the limit is, but I'm not really that interested to find out. I usually use up to about 2 or 3, depending on how many different files I'm working with. I think the most I've used in a video is 3 video tracks and 3 audio tracks, and that was probably my best edited video that I've come up with. So these are your 2 layers. Sorry, these are your 2 layers you have right now. So here's the video. The video is in the top layer, and then the audio is in the bottom layer. Again, it doesn't matter the layer, you just have to pay attention to which one is on the video, which one is on the audio. So now that that's done, I've covered adding media. Let's talk about changing the volume. Oh, first of all, you can click on your files, you can drag them forward and back. Like I said, it's going to be a long video. I do have a structure of how I'm going to go through it, but I'm going to take everything in detail just to make sure I cover everything at my own pace. So just keep that in mind. So here's how you would change volume. So look right here. So you have level 100% and lower. Now this is not for lowering volume because that's obviously only done on a video, on an audio layer. On a video layer, this scroll bar is for changing the opacity of the video, right, from brightest to least bright. So you can scroll there 0 to 100. Pretty sure you can type in a value too. Same thing here. If you click drag right at the top, so there's different areas where you can select, but if you select right at the top where this shows up, opacity 100, you can click and drag, and you can see the videos, of course, adjusting based on my settings. So I'm going to leave that as it is. So let's talk about changing the volume. There's really not much to say. It defaults to 0, but depending on what your purpose to upload is and what volumes you want to be louder or quieter. For example, if you're doing commentary, you would adjust this. So if I had 2 layers, if I had one for audio, for game audio, and one for voiceover, and you couldn't hear my voice, I would adjust either bring the audio layer, game layer down, or bring the video and my microphone up. So that's what I would do to fix that problem. So another thing I want to cover is speeding up or slowing down your video. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do this step by step. So attempt 12 is when I beat this. So I want to show it as if I would actually do it. So I'm going to go right before there, and I'm going to hit S. So you see I've been scrolling. You type S, that's how you split a video. And when you split a video, it also splits the audio with it, unless you do this. So if I'm here, and remember, to select the files, you can't just select off the chart. You have to select on them. So if I'm here, if I type U, notice that this just got deselected. So U is how you break the audio. I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's how you break the audio from the video layer. So now they're 2 separate. I can move them separately. I can change them separately. So anyway, I'm going to select this, and now that they're separate, I'm going to control, take the second one, delete both of them. These are still together, so they still move together. So that's how that's done. Next thing I've covered, cut the video, break the video. Okay, so speed up and slow down is another thing that I could mention. Just because I want to actually work with this, I'm going to make a copy of it just so I don't have to re-import it. So there we go, copied and paste. So now what you can do here, if you go to the ends, when you just click and drag directly, all you're going to do is extend the video. But what you actually want to do, instead of just extending the video, is to change the speed of the video. So what you can do, if you're on the right side here, and if you hit Control, this changes to time stretch. It says drag to time stretch or compress the event. So now, whereas here all you were doing is extending the frame. So all you do is, if you make this really, really long, all you do is extend the frame. But what you want to do is hit Control and then click to drag, and you'll also see these little zigzag lines show up, and that's how you know that you're actually in that mode. If I wasn't in that mode, it wouldn't show up. And these also tell you that it has been compressed. Keep in mind that when you compress, it also affects the audio. So the audio compresses with the file unless they've been separated. So usually when I compress a video file, I just remove the audio completely because it doesn't make sense to have the audio sped up, and then I'll replace it with a different type of audio, whether a background song or something else. I've covered opacity, right? You click the top, you drag up and down. It's really that simple. If I want part of the video to be brighter, I'll go here, split, take the side I want to be darker, and then I bring that down. So you just choose the sections you want to bring up and down. Add a fade in or fade out. So let's delete all this for now. One thing I'm just going to do, because I always do in my videos, I'm going to right click, and then under switches I'm going to go to disable resample. Now resample is a process that Sony Vegas uses to try to correct your videos when they're a little bit shaky, but I don't like the way that their smart resample works. I always prefer to have it off. So that's just my preference, so I leave that off. So let's cover a fade in. So at the beginning of the video, let's say, oh, I wanted to mention one thing. So right now I'm using the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. So you see this thing changing. Scroll wheel up is zoom in, scroll wheel down is zoom out. And then you can use this to drag left and right. just like you would for most other programs. Now here's the thing with a scroll that makes a difference. So if you click on the on this I guess time marker, timestamp, whatever it is, if you click on it anywhere in this video area and move, it's going to move actually with your mouse speed, which in most cases where you're trying to fine-tune the start or end of a video, it's not really the best way to do it. But notice this. So I'm going to zoom in just so, again, it's easier to work with. If you click on it right up here, notice how this is different. So if you click on it right up here and then you drag, the pace is a lot slower. It looks quicker because I'm zoomed in, but now you can see the difference. So here's how I'm zooming versus here's how I'm zooming when I've clicked in this top section. So let's show that here. So if I wanted to start at the beginning of the video, I've moved it just a little bit and I've already jumped. So what I can do is zoom in and see how here, you can always keep zooming in to really make it more precise, but I prefer using this. It's a lot easier. So I'm going to zoom in. Sometimes I'll use the audio, gaps in the audio, to know where the video starts. So this is right after I've died here. And yeah, so when the audio starts right there in the bottom, that's usually where the video would start. So I'm going to notice how it's still hard to find that precise point. Most people don't care about it. If you're adding a fade in, it doesn't matter. I like to just really have the point very fine-tuned to the beginning. So I'm going to S to split, take the left side, which is the previous attempt. I'm going to delete that. So now I have it starting right at the first attempt, or the attempt where I beat it. So that's how the fade in works. To do a fade out, so I've finished here, commenting, thanks for watching. Let's see. So you usually have to decide how long you want to fade out for. So after I finish saying thanks for watching, I'm going to leave it about another 8 seconds. So at about 15 seconds, I'm going to leave it there. So S to split, zoom in, drag this to the right, or delete, doesn't matter. Now I'm going to do a fade in. So to do a fade in, you hit the corners of your files. So this shows up, this little arc, fade out offset, and you can do this very precise. So just like you were zooming, we were going left to right, scrolling more precise with the top icon here, you want to zoom in a lot further than you normally would when you want to do a fade in. Because if I select here and I do a fade in, a small amount, it's jumped 9 seconds, and that's pretty large for a fade out. So I'm going to zoom in, and the more you zoom in, the more precise you can be. So usually I'll do about 4 or 5 seconds. So one thing about the timing and for this software, it refers to the seconds as base 30. So it's the 4 you see right there is the seconds, and then the 27 is partial seconds, but it doesn't go from 0 to 100, it only goes to 30. So when that 27 hits 30, it jumps to 5. So I'll see if I can zoom in and show you that. There you go. So there's fade in, 29, I'll zoom in more. And this little gray area defines your fade out. So if you notice, it's sometimes hard to see exactly where the fade out, because if I select here, I can't choose the fade out. You have to only select at the exact point it ends, but you can use the light and dark effect to help tell the difference. So once I'm here, let's see if I can get to 5. So 429, 5, see that? And even if I was to zoom in, let me show you. I mean, you can always take my word for it, but let's zoom to the fade in. Okay, so now I've zoomed in. I'm 5 seconds. I've really zoomed in, and it still goes 429. And you'll see it stays at 429 for a bit. So it's 28, 29, 30, which is the next number. So that goes to from 1 to 30. So keep that in mind. That's how you do the fade out. So I did 5 seconds. I believe I'm still at 5 seconds. And I apologize if I'm making it seem like I'm overdoing certain points, but I'm really trying to be as in-depth this video as possible. It's not a quick tutorial, and I want to show it exactly as I would do it in my own videos. So I like to match the video fade out to the audio fade out, or I'll make the audio fade out a little bit longer because I do like the effect of video fading out fairly quickly, but I like the audio fading out more gradually so people know that the ending is coming up. So in this case it looks like this. Thanks for watching. Yeah. So this is not really the best way I like it. I would prefer actually, I'm going to adjust the video fade out just a little bit. Let's go 4. So if I want to do 4.5 seconds, I'm shooting for 4:15. So just that you need to keep in mind. So that's how that works. So I've already done the, no, I haven't done the fade in at the front. So I'm going to do 4 seconds here both ways. And that's already 8. Doesn't have to be exact. I mean, it really doesn't make a big difference in your videos. But yeah, so now fade-ins are done, covered. Video effects. So let's talk about video effects. So again, I don't plan on adding a video effect in this particular video. So I'm going to copy and paste another version right here so I can show you. So let's look for somewhere where I could do a fade in. I mean a zoom in. Maybe near the drop. Let's see. Alright, so let's say right before the drop I want to start a video effect. Actually, I was just looking at my list here and I switched the order. I did want to talk about video effects, as in filters and colors that you can use, and then transitions. So I'll get to that. So let's actually do the video effects first, because they're so much easier to do. Let me look here. So notice this little icon right here in your video. So if you zoom in here, and they always appear on the right side of the video. So this stands for event effects, and then on the video file you have 2. So you have event effects again, you also have video effects. I guess not video effects, event pan crop is what it's called. So when you click this right here, it gives you some options, and I believe you do have the actually gives you a lot of options to work with. I think you can also download other packages, so filter packages. Like I have nothing in there, so I think that's possible that I can download that. But I have what I need to work with, and I don't really change. I don't use too many options here. So we have creative. All these ones under Sony are really good to use, and these other ones I've never really experimented. Like you could try them all, see what they work. Like some of them are white balance, some of them are stabilized. So you do have different effects on the actual video. But I usually go to color here, and then under color I have options. So I'll go black and white, or I'll go sepia maybe. And the rest of them, again, I haven't experimented with all of them. I don't really need to. But if you want to, just note that you have more than enough options to change your colors here. So let's go black and white. So I'm going to click black and white. I'm going to go OK. You don't need to click add, even though it's highlighted. Just click OK. Blend amount 100. So let's so I can show you. That applies to the whole video. Because I haven't split it anywhere, it applies to everything. So now, by moving the marker from off of here onto the video, now I can have a preview. So I can move this box around. Again, I can make it smaller if I want. Let me do that. So there you go. I have it smaller, and I'm using the preview window. So here's black and white color blend amount. So here's 0 all the way up to 1, which is full. So let's go. I don't know. This looks interesting. Let's try that. Let's leave it there. So that's how the video effects work. Like I said, there are different options. Let me show you how you could add a transition in a similar way. So this is after the drop, but it doesn't matter. So under here I have transitions. Now you may not have it in your program, because like I said, a lot of these windows and panes you see here are customizable. Like this, you see these X buttons everywhere. Everything with an X button can be removed, but be very careful, because if you delete something, it can be hard to find it again. And you'd have to go into view, and then you'd have to go into window layouts. No, not window layouts. Extensions. Okay, now where is it? There is something. Window. There we go. Under window, you have all these options. These are the ones I have turned on, and it's kind of hard to remember which one is which. So just try not to accidentally delete any of the ones you want. But you can find them again by going into view, and then under window, selecting the one you want. So now that that's covered, let's talk about the transition. So I have added transitions already, so that's not part of my program when I open it. And again, you have lots of options. Have I even opened these? Yeah, so I have opened these. I do have stuff in there, but I don't really use them. You have so many options for transitions. So let's say I want to add a flash. I mean, everyone does flash. You even have different types of flashes. I think I've tried them, but I don't see much of a difference. I just use the default flash. Let me show you how that looks. So you're going to click on the flash, click and hold, and you're going to drag it to not necessarily this marker, but the start of the video you want to add the effect. Okay, so the marker could be anywhere, it doesn't matter. It only snaps. You can only add a transition to a start of a video clip. If you try to add it in the middle, it won't. You'll have to split it and then repeat that. So I'm gonna use this marker here. Another thing you'll notice is that when you're in this define mode or fine moving, it won't snap to any points. But if you click here, see it, the blue shows up. So it will snap to predefined points if you're just moving it freely like this. So I'm gonna click right there, it snaps. You can see that blue shows up, and this shows you the time. So here's a flash effect. It literally goes from here to this point. And if you see on your video, you can see here's what the highest effect. Once you've reached the end of this flash point, see, there's no more effect. So this is the time where it takes place. So once you have this done, you can change effects. So I don't really know much about these effects. I've never changed the flash effect, but you could experiment, but I don't think you need to. Here's how it would look like. Yeah. So the only thing that I would ever change for the flash effect is clicking. See it now, this shows up. Did it show up? Yeah, fade in offset. So you can also change the length of the flash to make it quicker. You can make it longer. That's the only thing I would ever change. As far as these options, I honestly don't know how they work, and I don't bother. Like everything that I'm showing you guys right now, I've either picked up myself in this program or I've looked it up online. Tools on how to do what I need to do for my videos. So I'm not a complete expert, but I have covered all the basics. I've taught myself everything that I need to know, and if there's anything else that I wanted to make in my videos, I would go learn that. But all these other tools, like there are probably thousands of different effects and ways you can change your video, but I don't have time to learn them all. So these are the ones that pretty much I use. The last thing I want to cover is the only thing that does take a bit more care when you're doing. It's a bit harder to do. Let's just make sure I have my other video there. So again, I'm going to do a pan. So pan your videos. So if you do watch my videos, you might see I have done that from time to time. And it is harder to do. It's why I don't do them that often. So let's we don't need to set a marker there. What we're going to do here is we're going to select this one we haven't done yet. Event pan crop. Okay, and then this shows up. Keep in mind that when you're doing effects, you may want to take your marker and reset it on your video so that you actually have a preview to work with. If not, you're going to have a lot of difficulty doing it here, because in this edit mode you don't have a preview. It looks like you have a preview, but you can't actually play it through and see what your pan is going to look like. So it's much better to have it on the video. So I'm going to start the pan here. So let's just not even do this because I don't want it to overlap with the flash. So I'm going to start it here. S to split, drag this, delete this, doesn't matter at this point. So now I'm going to take this video clip, event pan crop, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can show you everything. Let's bring it over here. Like I said, this is the only part that I find a bit harder to use, and other people might find harder to use as well. So this is a video clip. Now what you're going to do for a pan event, there's so many ways of using this feature, but how I usually use it is to but to zoom in to a specific part of a video, and then you can either cut to a different video or to a different clip, or you can zoom back out. So I'm going to show you how I would zoom in on this video and then zoom out using the pan event. So if I start here, keep in mind this right here, so you have a timeline. So I'm not going to show you that it matches up, but this timeline here matches up to the length of this video exactly. So that's it. This is the exact time slot for that. I don't know why it's okay. So again, you can use your scroll wheel to zoom in. I don't know why it was zoomed out like that. But here's the start. Let me grab this. Okay, so here's the start of the video. Zoom in a little bit more, and then all the way up to the end. Okay, so that's your video. This is your workspace, I guess they call it. So here, workspace. So one thing you want to pay attention to is you want to remember what your dimensions for your video are. So if I go here, so by clicking on these little points here, you select, basically they're called keyframes. So there are a lot of different ways of placing keyframes, and I won't go through all of them, but you can make your video into different shapes. You can make I believe a circular keyframe. You can draw your own objects. One of my videos, I drew an arrow in my video that was actually moving with the video, and that was created using the pan event. I just created the pan of an arrow, and I overlaid it onto my video. So look right here, and you'll see that this position stuff is important. You don't need to remember it, but you just need to know that anytime you're somewhere on this video, you don't have this. So you need to click at the beginning to see this as a reference. So this will tell you what the dimensions of this original box that you have are, because at some point you're probably going to want to zoom back out to your original video, and if you don't know what the dimensions are, you won't be able to do that. So your width and height are just based on your computer resolution. Not exactly, but they're based on your rendering resolutions. So I have my OBS, which is Open Broadcast Software, the settings for my videos right now that I'm using to these dimensions here. So 1364 by 768. X center, Y center. Again, these aren't numbers that you're going to know or ever set. That's just a default of the program, which basically stands for where the corners are placed. So what I'm going to do is show you how let's say, here's my start. Let's say at this point in the video, let's say quicker, just so I can show you guys what I'm playing. So let's start here. See, it's still, even though it's a white here, it's still fixed to the frame. Let's say here I want to start zooming in. Okay, so I have two options. I can either double click, but I don't like doing that way because it's not easy. This is not a big workspace to work in, so I just work with these commands here. So create keyframe. So I've created a keyframe, and you'll know that because it shows up there, right? And when your marker is on directly on a keyframe, see, now it's not on a keyframe, but when you move it, see, moving it this way doesn't work. But you have to select the actual keyframe, and then that little can't really show you, but a little diamond inside will light up or will turn on, and that's how you know that you're actually on that keyframe. So here's my starting point. Let's say, and I don't know how many seconds this is. I haven't been paying attention to the actual how long this clip is, but let's say here I want to zoom in to the top corner, to the top right corner. Well, let's say I want to zoom into my icon. So I'm gonna zoom in by taking the corner and dragging. Now there are other ways. You can see if I go here, I can rotate. You can draw your own keyframes, but you are gonna have to experiment with them because it is hard for me to show every single one. The most common one people would use for your video is to keep your rectangular box, keep your aspect ratio, because otherwise you're gonna have black spaces in your video because it doesn't actually fit to the screen or the screen of a computer. So I'm going to go about here, and I'm going to center it on my icon, but I'm going to lower it. As you see in the top, I don't want the white space. So you can do that, and of course the white space won't show up, but it is better to have it as much of the video as you can. So there you go, I have it on my icon now. And then a little bit later, again, I don't know how many seconds this is, so if it happens really quick, I apologize. So here I'm going to create another keyframe, and that's how you basically reverse it. If I wasn't to create a keyframe anymore, it would zoom into this little part would be my zoom in portion, and then it would jump right back to the original. And normally you don't want to do that. You want to zoom in, zoom out. So I would do zoom in here, and now I've started my second keyframe. So this is the start and end of the first one, and that's the start of the second one. And I'm going to drag a little bit here. Let's click here. I'm going to add another one. So I've added the last keyframe. I don't know why it. I wanted to add it on the top. Oh yeah, so you have to be clicking on the top layer. I'm not sure how you would use the bottom layer, but I don't use it. So I'm going to select this here. And again, you'll know that you're working in the right layer when you have this box to work with. So now what I'm going to do is zoom back out. Again, it's really hard to position it, so you're going to basically go defaults. You can zoom out and work your way back if you forget the numbers. But here's what I can do. I'm going to click on my original one like I showed you guys, 1364. I'm going to go here, 1364, enter. So now you can see it's already matching some of the points. And then 768, I'm going to do the same thing here. That's already fixed, so it's already, it keeps the aspect ratio like I mentioned. So that once you get one of these numbers, the next one should be correct. And then here's the important numbers, 682 and 384, which are the X and Y of this this grid. 682, 384. So I'm actually not that far already. Just you need to fine tune it. And yeah, so now you're exactly back where you started. And so I just want to point out that this step right here, pan and zoom, is the most difficult for me because I have trouble working with this little space and seeing what each key represents. But if you practice it enough, you can get good at it, and it can really make a difference because people who can zoom in and focus on different parts of their video can really make the video a lot more entertaining than without. So let's play and see if how quick those zoom-ins were. So it should, there we go. So there comes the zoom in, then it's going to hold for a little bit, and then it zooms back out. So that's the zoom in effect. And yeah, I don't want to keep this video going. I've covered everything that I want to cover. That's how I edit my videos. Oh, and one more thing. Delete this now that I'm done with that finally. So this was my original video. For this specific video, I didn't want to add any effects, so I just wanted to leave it as it is. Only thing I want to change is I always have this on -5. I'm not really sure why. Sometimes YouTube can pick up on songs and stuff, so if I have a little bit quieter, the programs don't always do that. That's just why I do that. It doesn't really make a big difference, but I leave it like that anyway. So what I'll always do before I start to render my video is I'll go to the beginning and click play, just to make sure everything is correct. And then on your own, of course, you would want to watch the whole video before you render it. Otherwise, you could mess up and just waste your time. But for now, I'm just going to show the beginning and the ending. That's usually what I will check too. If I don't have a lot of time to watch the whole video, I'll just watch the beginning and the ending to make sure the fade in and fade out are correct. So that's done. Now one more thing I want to cover. This little area here, this is zone, is basically your select zone. So you have to select right above where we were moving this tool in this blank space. And it should come with this whole section right here. So you shouldn't ever lose this area here. If it does, you may have to reset some of your settings. So basically it selects the frames to render. Because if you have a long file, it only renders what you have. What you want to remember is never to forget. Remember never to forget this, because if you do, if I was to have this like here, or just not even selected, if it was just a thing like that, and if I was to render my video right now, it would render and be done in 1 second, because all it was rendering was the black space in between here. So this is the only way it renders videos. You need to have this selecting your whole video. And again, it also, you see the blue show up, so it does snap to points. You don't have to worry about zooming in or anything like that. So once that's done, that's finished. I'm going to go File, Render As. So here you go, Render As. I don't know what this is. I don't ever use it. Render As. And then one last thing I guess I'll show you is you have a lot of options. Depending on whether you render in 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. I guess at the highest you can do on YouTube, I'm not sure. You would choose different settings. So I just have the ones here that I've used before. Most of them are 60 frames per second because that's what I usually use. But if I was to turn off this show favorites, now I have everything to work with. So these are all your options that are available. Again, each section here has quite a few to work with, but I wouldn't experiment with it too much, because a lot of these types of files, you'll run into problems if you try to render it. Either you won't be able to watch the file yourself on your computer, which has happened to me, or if you try to upload it to YouTube, or anywhere else you may have some more issues. So anything that you're not familiar with, don't stick with. I would stick with the ones that say MP4. So there's one down here, one here, here's one, and then here's one. So those are the only ones that say MP4. There are a couple of other ones that work too, but I would try to choose from one of those files just to make it a lot simpler and easier for yourself. And then once you've picked the ones you like, so I think I picked one from here, Internet HD. So this is a 720p rendering setting with 30 frames per second. So that's one of the ones I have set as a favorite in case I don't want to render 60 frames per second. So here I go back to my favorites. If you're searching, you can choose match project settings, which can be hard to use. It basically matches to these settings here. So if you click right here, project video properties, basically information about your video shows up. So your pixel format, your resolution, and your frame rate. It's good to check while you're working on your project. And then if you back in under render as, if you select match project settings, oh okay, this has to be off. It will only choose the ones available that match. But I don't recommend using this. What you can do instead is leave this off and turn on filter options. To turn on filter options, go to video templates only. If you match video frame rate, that for some reason it kicks them all out, so just ignore that. Just leave this one, basically video templates. That takes off a lot of audio files and files that don't work, and so you're left with a lot of MP4s. So look through that and you should be able to find some that work. But yeah, so under my favorites I have this one here. This is the one I'm using right now, and what I do is type in a title and render, and of course it's gonna render. If I go render, it'll ask, okay, well now it doesn't ask to render where, but normally it would ask where I want to render, and I've already set my desktop, so my videos show up on my desktop when I'm done. So that's pretty much it. I apologize again if I've sounded rushed or if I've sounded like I've taken too long. Either way, I just wanted to cover everything. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, so I didn't want to leave anything out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is going to go in a playlist, so I'm going to start a new playlist on my channel for like tutorials and other reviews and stuff. That way people who want to subscribe but don't really want to watch my other videos, which I can understand, there will be a playlist for them to go through. And then anytime I add a video that's similar to this, designed to help people or show people how to do something, it'll go into that video, into that playlist, so you can find it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Hope you learned a few things. And have a great day, everyone. And I'll see you guys in the next video.